What is up, everybody? Welcome to the biggest midnight happy hour of them all of 2024, UFC 300 edition. And we've got my guy Lou Betya. We've got a special guest, Luke, at SWR Betting. Thank you so much for joining us. Huge card this week, and we are really excited to have you here. Lou, why don't you start us off? How are you doing this week? Looking forward to the card. I know you haven't done any content so far, so...
This is my third facial hairstyle of the day. I'd like to think that's a personal record. That's a record across content creators. Not a lot of people do 3 shows a day, let alone 3 different facial hairstyles. This is obviously my favorite look. This is 70s out of work porn star. I'm here for it. Looking forward to the card, obviously. Love a lot of spots in this card. I'm very conservative all year. I just haven't liked a lot of spots this card I happen to, but I'd love to hear what our esteemed guest Luke has to say.
Yes, sir. Speaking of Luke, again, glad to have you here. How are you looking forward to this card? And please feel free to promote anything you want right off the top of the show.
Yeah, dude, just like everybody else, I'm pretty stoked for this. I mean, this probably has to be like the best card top to bottom in like the modern era, I would say. I guess there's probably other ones that, you know, maybe some nerd can go back to or whatever and say, what are you talking about? This card in Tuscaloosa, Alabama was better. Some bullshit. I don't know. I'm stacked, or I'm stoked for it. I'm actually going to be going to the card on Saturday as well, and I'll be at the PFL fights tomorrow night. So it's a full weekend of fighting for your boy.
There you go, the leader and the co-leader. Love to see that. Yeah, they're right there for you. So that's awesome. I was wondering if you were gonna be able to go to them. So very glad to hear that. Chronic combat conversations in the house. Yes, I saw the nickname. I love the Peter Yanjian on, of course. Gotta love that one. Daz in the house. Steve Gregory right off the bat. No regrets, Steve. No regrets. Justin, there we go. Yeah, real Tom Selleck. I like that a lot. There we go. All right, guys. Well, we have a huge card. We've all done shitloads of content this week, so let's get right into it. First fight of the night. I mean, absolute banger. We've got Davison Figueiredo taking on Cody Garbrandt. Minus 300 for Davison, plus 250 for Cody, plus 150 goes all three, minus 180 to end inside the distance. Decent DraftKings salaries here, especially for the underdog. Luke, please, we'd be honored. You start us off with your take on this opening fight of the night.
Yeah, honestly, this is out of all the fights on this card, this is one I probably care the least about, to be honest with you, or one I just like, just kind of like whatever to per se. I think the line is a little bit wide just because I've always had issues with Figgy in the sense that he's not always the highest output guy, and he's kind of relied on big moments or submissions or the occasional wrestling upside to kind of really get him through. But he's not a guy that particularly separates on minutes very often. So that's just kind of the concern for me at a price like minus 300 here. With all that being said, I think Biggie's got the better hardware of the two. I think he's got a lot more finishing upside. He is the better submission grappler. So I do agree with Figueiredo being the favorite. I'm not particularly sure I agree with minus 300 though.
Yeah, that's a little bit, it is a little wide. I'm also hearing, and I'm not, this is not sarcastic, I'm hearing that Cody Garbrandt is working with a sports psychologist, man. If you would have told me that, I wish you would have started that several years ago, to be quite honest. It's always a good sign in my opinion. But yeah, for DraftKings, Figueiredo is a tough play. I mean, he's fought nothing but Brandon Moreno, basically. Scores okay when he wins, but even in Rob Font, he kind of dismantled him, only walked away with 76 points. So 9,100 is a bit much. Just pay up $100 and put, Zhang Wei Li, you go Kayla, you can go up to, nickel. There's a lot of guys around here, and I actually like Cody a little bit at 7,100, even if he can pull off a decision. But yeah, Figueiredo, I think he gets it done. But outside of a round one win, not sure how he pays off that salary. Lou, how do you see this one going?
I like the Glass Joe stuff. First of all, let's just get that out of the way. I'm with Luke. From a betting perspective, I don't really like it. I feel like the line's literally not based on skill set. It's based on Garbrandt's chin. I mentioned this on a couple of shows, but I feel like this is an important point, is people that are saying that Figgy's low volume, and yeah, he has been historically, but I don't really want to judge the Font fight too much. He's coming off fighting the same dude for like over 2 years in a different weight class. That's like a major part of his career. Then all of a sudden it's like year off and a whole different set of circumstances and a whole different style of fighter. Maybe not a completely different style of fighter, but certainly a rangier one. So I think Figueiredo probably went in a little tentatively. Even in the first round of that fight, he was a little hesitant to get into a huge firefight. I like that he's had a relatively quick turnaround for this. He didn't take a year off to do this. I think if you like the Garbrandt side, the decision at plus 550 isn't a bad look. I don't think Garbrandt gets a finish here. A win for him is kind of winning a low volume firefight, maybe getting some cage control. I kind of doubt it, but just landing kicks, staying out of range and letting Figueiredo swing and miss. Maybe Figueiredo's cardio goes late, but I don't know. I just can't get to a bet on Cody knowing that it's such a liability with the chin. So I'll pick Figueiredo. This is a fight I legit have no interest in betting. And even the stuff for Figueiredo, which I thought clever if Cody dives in, it's like plus 375. Like, I'm not getting there.
Yeah, it's not a great look there. Still a banger fight to start off the card. Absolutely. Here we go. King Bobby Green taking on Jim fucking Miller. Bruce, do the right thing, bud. Minus 125 fight goes all three. Minus 105 doesn't. Bobby Green a minus 180 favorite. The comeback plus 155. Mid-range salaries here, 86 and 76. Lou, please tell us why Jim Miller's going to win somehow.
I don't like going against. I don't like when Luke. I have a feeling Luke and I are on the other side of this, so I don't like that. But yes, Jim Miller is going to fucking win this fight. He's going to win by KO. It's plus 575. I get people talking about Bobby Green. This is a step down, that maybe Miller's been fighting lower competition. I mean, the guys that Green's faced, other than a one-punch KO of Grant Dawson, like, he's not beating the better guys. I mean, Ally Aquina is, sold me my apartment. Like, the one big concern I've had with Bobby Green, if you look at tape, the guy just can't see a left hand coming anymore. Before the finishing sequence with Dober, he got tagged with a couple of lefts. It's a different stylistic fight than Miller. Like, don't get me wrong. Dober is known to have like a ton of power. Jalen Turner, I know he's a rangier guy, but even in that fight, through a few lefts, Bobby Green didn't move, and then he cracked him with a right, but Bobby Green didn't react to these lefts. I can forgive the Makhachev fight, but even Jared Gordon was landing lefts in this guy. Like, I'm not speculating that something's wrong with his vision, but he's never seeing left hands come at him. And Bobby Green historically just keeps his hands down anyway and uses his footwork. If he's not seeing punches, he's there to get hit. And Miller, I don't think he has much decision equity here. I think a decision looks like Bobby Green just hit him for 15 minutes and Miller survived. I don't see a lot of grappling. I don't see why Green would initiate it. And I just don't think Miller really wants to at this stage in his career. So I think Miller's, like, the bulk of his win equity is a big left hand. And I think that's what Green's susceptible to. So I think at plus 575, like my book has it, I like it.
Yeah, I kind of see things the same. My heart says, obviously, I want Jim Miller to win, but my brain says Bobby Green's probably going to get it done, even though he got, KO'd about 4.5 times by Jalen Turner a few months ago. That's only like 4 months ago. So not that I'm doubting Bobby Green, but that is a relatively quick turnaround, in my opinion. A couple of those on the card. But I don't know how Jim Miller is going to score well in DraftKings. I mean, the only way he's putting up big scores if he's getting these early knockouts on, relatively early. Nicholas Mata, I believe. Second round. Jesse Butler was like 40 seconds, if that. And Bobby Green doing the same thing, man. I mean, 127 in a fluke-ish knockout of Grant Dawson. Other than that, he's relatively pedestrian for the most part. I think this one goes longer. Possibly the decision, and even if Bobby Green's landing a decent volume, I like other fighters in that range a little bit. I mean, there's a couple of 5-round fights right around here that's going to have huge volume, and I just don't think we're going to get there with this one. So, Luke, what do you think about you like Bobby Green here from what Lou said?
Yeah, you guys know I'm like first team all Bobby Green. I love Bobby Green. Bobby Green's one of my favorite fighters on the roster, so a little bit biased, but yeah, I think stylistically And on paper and statistically, I think it's actually a pretty good fight for Bobby. I think he's the better boxer, the better athlete, faster hands, better work rate, better defense, yada, yada, yada. But I've learned my lesson with laying heavy juice with Bobby Green more than one time. He's just a really difficult guy to trust. And then kind of with what you guys are touching on, with, him semi-quick turnaround off of a knockout loss, a little bit concerning. He's a guy that likes to go in there and just fight. He's not necessarily like fighting to win, despite being like incredibly skilled. He said this, but I want to go in there and whip the guy's ass. Like, that's what I don't give a shit who actually wins or loses. I'm trying to whip the guy's ass. So that's why it's just always tough to lay, moderate to heavy juice with a guy like Bobby. But I do think stylistically, I think it's a decent fight for him. What I will say that at least from the power perspective, I do think Jim Miller as a power puncher, I still think is being very overrated. The guys he's knocked out, Ghost Pepper, Gonzalez, Jesse Butler, Nicholas Mata, all historically chinny type of guys. Even in hurting Gabriel Benitez is on like the tail end of his shit and has been getting more chinny as the years have progressed. But prior to the string of knockouts for Miller, I mean, he hadn't knocked anybody out in I think like 10 years or something prior to that. So I don't know. I still don't really buy this notion that Jim Miller is this gigantic hitter. But Bobby can do stupid shit or whatever, and then lose a split decision or like dives into a guillotine or something, and then I'm sitting there having a brain aneurysm with a -180. Just no, thank you. What I do like though is I kind of like the over 2.5 here, because of all the recent string of finishes, honestly, on both sides. I think that's driving the anti-violence number down here to a pretty playable number.
What do you cap Bobby Green's finishing equity at here? You have it like less than 25%, or?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for him to finish Jim personally. Jim's a tough son of a bitch. He's not subbing him.
No.
So.
That would be wild. Next fight. This one could have headlined any of the Apex cards we've seen so far. Jessica Andrade taking on Marina Rodriguez, -140, goes all 3 rounds, and -140 basically for Jessica Andrade as well. And the first time in maybe a year, maybe 18 months, we've seen $8,100 salaries in DraftKings. It has been quite a long time. I love Jessica Andrade in 3-round strawweight fights. Her scoring is ridiculous when she wins. So I think in those big GPP contests, I mean, this is definitely a spot worth looking at. I mean, 131 against Dern, 130 against, like, she's putting up these scores relatively consistently in wins at the weight class. Marina Rodriguez, obviously a damn good striker, damn good in the clinch. But when she wins, it's not crazy. I mean, she beat up Michelle Waterson Gomez for the best score in her entire career. Other than that, we're at 88 points, 61 points, kind of stuff like that. So if we're talking same salaries, I think in win equity, as far as DraftKings goes, it's Jessica Andrade, and it's really not close. So yeah, I'm loving Andrade for the potential ceiling on DraftKings this week. Luke, what do you think here? Is Andrade going to be able to just hopefully wrestle, even though she hasn't been doing it lately, or is Marina going to be able to kind of tie clinch her around?
Yeah, this is a tricky one, honestly, that I kind of went back and forth on in terms of like who I was picking. So you're definitely not going to get like a particularly passionate opinion from me here. I did ultimately come out on picking the Andrade side because of the floor upside. Like, I guess just from a very macro perspective, I do favor Marina on the feet, but Andrade can win on the feet here, where it's like, if the fight does hit the ground, I mean, Andrade has like all the grappling upside. So just based on that pretense alone, I think making her a slight favorite does make sense. But in relation to what you were saying, Monk, about her not wrestling, which is true, but I think it also needs to be contextualized that a lot of the girls she's fought have just been the better wrestler or grappler than her. So it
True.
So in those matchups, it just, didn't make sense for her to wrestle. Or in other matchups, she was just beating the shit out of the girls on the feet. So she didn't feel the, need to wrestle here. Where, with all that being said, do I feel confident that Andrade is going to wrestle? Not particularly. But I mean, if she's smart, I mean, it, just in terms of how I look at fights, in terms of general, upside, it's there. It's a path that's there. She is the better ground fighter. She is the better wrestler. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning more into that upside, but Marina is the more technical girl. She's more crisp. If Andrade kind of gets stuck at range here, could be a tough night. Don't actually mind violence on this fight though. I think both girls have the potential to get hurt and hurt each other. So
for sure, yeah, that -140 might be a little. We might see a little earlier than that. I just should be mentioned, Marina outstriking Michelle Waterson Gomez by like 7.5 strikes a minute in their last fight. She landed 9 per minute in over 7 minutes. That's insane. Lou, who do you like for this strawweight fight?
So I like the fight doesn't go more than I like a side here. I just want to add something to Luke's point. He mentioned if this stays at range, this is a problem for Andrade. The other problem I see for Andrade is if she's a takedown and just gets stuck in a clinch. Marina Rodriguez's clinch, elbows, and knees are just fucking nasty. And, the thing is like, I don't historically love or rate Marina Rodriguez huge, but I think part of it is I just don't love her optics. It's like, she just looks like she's kind of all right. But this is the kind of fight where if Andrade just falls right into her trap, I think Marina Rodriguez could look like a world beater. And at the same time, Andrade, I think the last time she shot more than 2 takedowns in a fight was 5 years ago when I looked it up. So I can't say that she's going to be that proactive here. But again, it's situational, and I would like to think that her camp knows that she has the biggest edge in the fight by going for takedowns. The last thing I want to add is the losing streak that Andrade had against these top 2 names of the division. They were all 2 months apart. She was just kind of going through the motions, grabbing some checks. Yes, it's top tier in the division, but I don't look into the 3-fight losing streak maybe as unfavorable as most. I think it was just whatever was going on in her life, divorce or whatever, just screwing with her. And she took enough time off to come back for the Dern fight and look like the old Jessica Andrade. So I feel like if they're both at their peak, they're both fighting optimal, Andrade just feels to me so much more dangerous. So I think the line makes sense. I'll take the fight doesn't go as opposed to Andrade if you give me the same price. Give me, because I can Marina clinch.
Real quick too, Lou, in regards to the clinch, Andrade has been hurt with knees in 2 different fights now.
That's
and
true.
To your point, if she gets, by hook or by crook, she gets tied up and, framed off with a half plum or whatever, and Marina starts going to work, you could see Andrade go down just from that, honestly.
Yeah, and then your -140s, out of here. So I don't know. Unless one of them shows toughness, either Marina would win like just by battering Andrade for a decision on the feet. I just think if Andrade lands 2 takedowns in this fight, she's getting a finish at a super high clip. So it's a side I like.
There we go. Some early violence. Love to see it. Speaking of, here's another one. Jalen the Tarantula Turner taking on Renato Money Moicano. -350. Fight doesn't go. One of the higher numbers on the card. -230 though. Big favorite for Mr. Jalen Turner. +195 the comeback. 8,900, 7,300. Luke, what do you like here? You like Jalen's reach KO power? Or you like Moicano to maybe find some ground game?
Yeah, it's kind of I shouldn't say a tricky one. Actually, I think it's kind of straightforward in relation to, depending on how you perceive and who gets the better of it. I like pre-research, I was like, I'm absolutely going to be on Moicano here. Like I was like pretty convinced I was at the price. And I just went back and I watched more things and I thought about the fight in some different sequences and instances. And it's just like, I feel like Moicano is just live to die at like any time this fight is on the feet. I mean, Jalen is going to be the biggest guy that he's fought by a pretty significant margin, and the chin issues for Moicano have been documented. I know people will say, all right, Dober didn't knock him out in the last fight, who's a big hitter, which is true, but Dober is also legitimately 7 inches shorter and has 7 inches less of reach than Jalen Turner does, and Dober hurt him on pretty much every exchange. Moicano's grappling was just able to bail him out there. And so that's kind of like what's interesting with the wrestling, because Moicano's takedowns tend to be very upper body based, or it's like very transitional. I think that's not a great recipe to take down a guy that's 6'3" who is going to be stronger than him. So I feel like Moicano's going to struggle to get Jalen down. But the thing is, and why I still think the fight is pretty interesting, if Moicano does get on top of Jalen, I think there's actually more merit to Moicano controlling, potentially subbing, than in comparison to, Matt Frivola against Turner, or Gamrot against Turner. Gamrot's like a cardio wrestler, but he's never been a great control top-based player, where Moicano's top game is pretty high level. So it's like, if Moicano is able to get into those positions, things could get interesting. We've also seen, Jalen Turner's cardio not look the greatest in some extended fights too, but I am kind of with the general crowd that I think that he's gonna put Moicano down early in this fight. But I mean, I guess at the same time, I'm still giving Moicano probably a little bit more credit than most people here.
Yeah, and I like that, especially coming from the DraftKings side. This is a fight you got to target for big GBPs, especially. Probably not touching much of it in cash, to be completely honest, unless you need the Moicano side at 7,300. There are paths to victory, as Luke was just saying, but I think I'm kind of more on the Jalen Turner side, man. I mean, he just looked fantastic against guys that he's supposed to be beating. Mateusz Gamrot probably a step 2 or above Turner. Dan Hooker probably around there. You could argue either way. So very close fights there, or at least the Hooker one. But when he's fighting Bobby Green, Brad Riddell, guys like that, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. I think Moicano is above, obviously, Riddell, above, probably a little bit above Bobby Green. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. But definitely below Gamrot. So I think this is going to be a good fight. Moicano's got paths, but man, Turner is rough. And yeah, the chat's going crazy with the 300K bonuses. If that's not fucking incentive, I don't know what is. So we've got, one guy, Hanato, wants money. We all know that about him. And so he could come rushing in, do something crazy. Jalen could do something crazy. I mean, if somebody's going to do something crazy, it's probably Moicano. I think Jalen might be a little more composed, but we'll see, man. My pick's going to be Turner, but basically just play this fight in DraftKings. I think it's a great spot. Lou, do you like Moicano, or do you like money? Which is it? Or sorry, do you like Turner, or do you like money?
Real quick before you go, Lou, I have to say I am cheering for Moicano, because Moicano has legitimately the best post-fight speeches.
So great. So good.
He gets a fucking Joe Hogan.
Something motherfuckers.
He wants to become a cop so he can kill bad guys. I mean, this guy is phenomenal.
Well,
he makes
I'm
Nate
also
Landwehr
interviewing him when he's unconscious.
Yeah.
Just putting a mic in his face when he's on the ground.
Even in the last one, he's like talking about how his dad's still like fucking girls.
His dad's impregnating women.
Oh, God bless Moicano.
Do you have, before I break, Luke, do you have like a favorite post-fight speech of any fighter ever? I have one very clear one. I'm just wondering.
I know what that is.
Yeah, you know what it is. I've mentioned it on the show before. Do you have like a favorite of all time?
Post-fight speech. I don't know. That's like nothing I've ever really thought. I guarantee you I do have one. It's something I would probably just have to think about.
All right. Mine is off of bullshit UFC Salt Lake City card. It's Tetsuya Ishihara winning like the second fight of the night and then being like, "Where are my bitches?" And they're like, "Who do you want?" And they're like, "Who do you want to fight next?" And he's like, I just need lady whore party. Where are my Salt Lake City bitches? And it was like, okay. Dude, he just fought like
I
3
saw
months
that.
ago in some Florida league. He beat Willie Whoop-Ass Gates.
That's
in
right.
what's like the most random fucking fight ever.
His record is like trash now, isn't it?
Oh, dude, yeah, he's way over the double-digit loss point.
You know why? Because he found his bitches, and then he stopped caring about training.
They make you soft.
Short and sweet. I just think it's a bad match for Moicano. I don't love the quick turnaround. It's a cash grab. I'm not faulting him for getting a cash grab on this card. It's a really quick turnaround. Honestly, he won the Dober fight because Dober kind of fell in the 3rd round, and Moicano was able to keep him there. Taking nothing away from Moicano, he capitalized on Dober falling, but that was a fight that had close margins. I just think Turner's going to be too long for him. Luke brought up, we've seen Turner's cardio wilt. Very important to bring this up. Make sure you see Turner on the scale tomorrow. He was 158 for that Hooker fight. He looked drained. He didn't look right going in. And I'm not as worried about it here just because Moicano doesn't historically work the body. Like Dan Hooker was ripping the body. So it was making Turner's compromised cardio already worse. I don't think Moicano's going to really do that. He likes head hunting or just getting you against the cage and trying to hunt for like a back take to get you to the ground, or body lock. But I just 1-2 for Turner is -110 on some books. I think that's, if this thing hits the 3rd round, Moicano is probably the side. But
I guess that's
like,
kind of
I don't know.
like I think the under, honestly, at that point, I would just play the under because I don't know, that's just me. Is the extra 2.5 minutes at the end of the 2nd round worth not encompassing any Moicano submission equity?
Well, what number is it now? Because I was seeing like as high as,
it's like 120, I think.
No, is it really?
Yeah.
That's 124. All right.
113 at Pinnacle, actually. Oh shit.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, there's another fight on this card where I said the same thing, where like the person's ITD and the under was 10 cents difference. So yeah, I didn't realize it was that low. So yeah, I would probably go the under 1.5 here. And Luke, if this fight ends in 9 minutes, I hate you.
Well, yeah, just to throw the voodoo out there, but the 3 times Moicano has gotten knocked out, it's all been in under 6 minutes. So
yeah, and I think Turner's not fucking around here. I don't think he's going to be tentative at all. I don't know that he's going to really respect Moicano's striking. So no, see what happens. What's up, Marley?
Big Marley in the house. Excited.
Marley's coming in chat, and the first thing he sees is somebody writing too many bitches, and he's like,
it's like the Abe Simpson gif where he just puts the hat down and
walks right back.
Oh, here is one. I don't know, honestly. I've been kind of waffling on this one here. Dream, believe, and make it happen. Diego Lopes taking on Super Sodiq Yusuff. -165 doesn't go. Kind of a little bit surprising to me, actually. -144, Diego. Little more than a slight favorite here. 8,500, 7,700 for some middling DraftKings salaries. Lou, why don't you start us off? Who do you like, the swoop or do you like the Yusuff?
I just want to mention that Pepe and Evan have a bet on this for tattoos, which I think
is that real? Like,
yeah.
Oh my god.
Real. And then later on they realize that he makes shirts, and Pepe's like, I wish the bet was just shirts.
Yeah, you guys jumped the tattoos right off rip. That's crazy.
So, yeah, this is one of the 2 that I really struggled with, but I got some clarity, at least in my head yesterday. I'm on the Sodiq Yusuff side. I think there's a couple of factors here. First of all, from a line perspective, I think we're getting a lot of recency bias for how Yusuff looked getting rocked by Barbosa and how Lopes looked against Sabatini and Tucker. I should mention I was on Sabatini and Tucker in those fights. So if you don't want to listen to me here, no problem. Maybe I just can't read this guy. I get it. I mean, he's like as Gugabi would say, this guy is a bonk lord who, like, he's losing. And then the next thing you know, like, the fight's over. He fucking won. Yusuff's the cleaner striker. He's better at like distance management. I think even if he wants to go for takedowns, he could do it like near the end of the round, just kind of get a little bit of top time. Yes, like Lopes is going to be throwing up submissions, but I think Yusuff's smart enough to stay out of range. Like, I think he's responsible enough on top to avoid them. It's really a Yusuff bet. I feel like you're just fading him getting crushed because he's very clearly the better minute winner in this fight. So you're giving me the more experienced guy at the UFC level, not professionally, but at the UFC level, fought better guys, I think is more well-rounded. I do have a bet where I'll eat my shoe if it loses later on this card, but yeah, I got to play Yusuff at this price for a lot of the reasons I just mentioned.
What kind of shoe is it?
The shoe that I drink beers out of.
So it's seasoned.
If I have to eat a shoe, I may as well get hammered.
It's seasoned at least.
Exactly.
Luke, who do you like in this one here?
So pretty much everything Lou said is me, like everything. I was not on the Sabatini side. Thank God I avoided that bullet, but I did have 2 units on Gavin Tucker, and that was not fun. But yeah, kind of to what Lou said, I think there's just some recency bias on this line. Like, keep in mind, Sadiq nearly killed Barbosa in the first round to the last fight. Like, he 10-8'd him and was beating the living tar out of him. Like, so a lot of this is just how I look at fights, but like, just because he didn't kill him, there is a world where Sadiq does finish Edson Barbosa in the first round. And it's like, if he is coming off a win against Edson Barbosa in a first round knockout, is Sadiq really the dog here? Right, wrong, or indifferent? I guess we'll find out on Saturday. But honestly, I think that's why, you have Lopez coming in off 2 wins and he just, Sadiq coming off a lot. But it's like, if he's coming off of beating Barbosa, I think this fight is at minimum pick 'em, if not favoring Yusuff. So I do, like I said, to Lou's point, I think there is some recency bias influencing this line. But one thing I do want to say is that I think Yusuff's grappling is actually pretty underrated, in my opinion. It's not like necessarily what he's known for. And I actually kind of hope he's not wrestling in this fight, because I do respect the guard and jiu-jitsu of Lopez. But like, we've seen him do like really good job, like nullifying, outside hooks, from pretty good black belts and like guys like Alex Caceres, and he swept Andre Fili from top position. Like the guy's knows what he's doing on the ground. So you factor that in with like Lopez just isn't a very good wrestler. So I think it's going to be hard for him to take Sadiq down. So I think Sadiq's the better striker. He's the better athlete. He's unequivocally the biggest hitter that Lopez has fought to date too. And Lopez has horseshit striking defense. So I think the kid's, Mexican tough chin is going to get tested by Sadiq here. The guy's 30 years old in his prime as the dog against a bonk meme lord to Lou's point. Yeah. But Lopez is a guy that shapes up to just be an absolute bonfire of money for me for like the rest of my betting career, because he's just like all offense, no defense, but he's just going to like meme people at probably a moderate clip. But I hate those fighters, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited to be 0-5 in my life betting fights with this guy.
Exactly.
Like,
I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I had Mavzar obviously in that one, but Lopes had moments, I guess. Still, he got pretty dominated just on the stats perspective. But yeah, I picked Tucker, I picked Sabatini. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not on an island there. But like I said, I'm kind of waffling on this one, at least for DraftKings. Like, I'm not expecting a super early finish. Maybe I could, from what you guys are saying, Lopes, you're absolutely right. Is not the best striking defense. Allowed almost 6 strikes a minute to Mavzar Evloev there. So I know probably a lot of that could be ground striking. I'd have to look into that, but still, that's quite a large number. And Yusuff, like Lou said, definitely the biggest hitter that he's faced so far. So maybe I'll have to think about playing more Yusuff than I was originally thinking. But still, I do like the underdog side quite a bit. So I'm on the side with you guys.
I
there.
mean, one fighter content creator has to win this week, right?
You would think.
Like if Moicano can't, it's got to be Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? One of them has to win.
Those unprofessional breakdowns are hilarious.
No,
Right?
Well, everybody. I mean, he loves Michael Bisping. Like
Yeah,
Bisping
that's what I was going to
is-
say. The one he's like, and this is Michael. Who's the chick? The template chick that he says.
Oh, I forgot. I know.
I can't remember.
Can we mourn? Can we give Monk a moment of silence that his favorite fighter on the roster got cut this week, Mr. Turkali? Can we give Monk a moment of silence? He has nothing to do now.
I have nothing. I have all this.
Week,
Go ahead.
In 1 week, my favorite fighter lost, friend of the channel, Chris Curtis, lost by split decision to bring me utter glee. And then your favorite fighter gets cut from the UFC. So good week for the happy hour, I would say.
Definitely. You know, like I said on Twitter, I thought this was going to be a great day, but I'm just filled with emptiness. All of my unbridled rage towards the Pleasure Man's nickname now has nowhere to go. And I don't know. I just feel a bit empty. You know, it's never thought it would be like that, you know, but hey, I'll find a new nemesis. Don't worry. We'll figure it out.
Back to the Euro casting couches for him.
There you go. The Pleasure Man, indeed. Here we go. Kayla freaking Harrison. My God. Taking on Holly Holm. Plus 100 doesn't go. Minus 130 does go all three. Minus 440 is the kind of laughable, I guess maybe not laughable line that we have here from a women's bantamweight fight. Kayla, second highest priced fighter on the entire card. I don't know, man. We've got Bo Nickel right above who could smash. We've got Zhang Weili right below at 9,200, who is constantly, I'm hoping for like 200 points this week from DraftKings from her. We got a lot of fighters up here, and I'm going to listen to what you guys have to say. Kayla Harrison, is she going to be worth it at 93? Maybe she's a decent pivot if everybody's going nickel. If everybody's going Zhang Weili, nobody's going to be able to get to Harrison. So could be interesting for GPPs this week. Holly Holm, I think, is a decent punt play, but I wouldn't go much further than that. Did someone just quote blue chips on this show? You're my new favorite person, Patty Mac.
He's tuning in from Minneapolis right now, too.
Nice. I fucking love blue chips. I got to watch that again. Lou, what do you think here? Harrison smash or Holm surprise?
I got to shout out Big Steve for saying something that just needs to be repeated. He said UFC really wanted Brock Lesnar because they had him at 100 and 200. They couldn't get him, so they settled for Kayla Harrison. Just thought that was really funny. I see people taking the shot on Holly Holm. It's not for me. I think that Harrison's going to win by KO. I like how she looks so far. Apparently, she's already made the weight, so she's getting used to it. She looks absolutely shredded. I think that either she gets takedowns in the center of the cage or she gets Holly Holm against the cage, just controls her there, eventually does get her down, just maybe not in a favorable position. Holly Holm's used to being the more physical girl in the cage. She won't have that advantage now. I don't know that Holly Holm's going to be able to get up. And the big thing for me is that Kayla Harrison can finally throw elbows, which she wasn't able to do in the PFL. And I just remember her kicking Murr's ass on Impractical Jokers. And I have Murr minus 190 against Holly Holm. So I like the math. I think Harrison KO is a decent price. As far as like DraftKings, what's funny about this is with Bo Nickel, he probably wins round 1 KO or sub. He gets 1 takedown or 0 if Cody just insta jumps Gilly. And he gets 0 takedowns because Cody just falls to the ground. But I feel like Harrison, even in a decision, is probably going to get 3 takedowns, 13 minutes of control, a ton of ground strikes.
Oh, so I got a player now. This is a nice pivot then.
What do you have her ownership as?
Dude, it's gonna be way lower than it should be, honestly. I mean, what's nickel gonna be like 70?
100%.
John
99%.
70. There's just mathematically, there's no way Kayla could, if that's the case, Kayla has to be like in the 20s or 30, right? Like way, way low.
I think DraftKings user Brundage6969 will roster Brundage in 100% of their lineups. But
Here you
what's up
go.
for that? But yeah, the pick for me is Harrison by KO round 2. We'll say.
There we go. There we go.
It pays more.
It does pay more. I actually said that. I said that in like randomly, not on a show the other day, and I was just like, "What? That was weird." Shout out to Lou. Luke, what do you think here? Same thing that Lou's kind of seeing, or something a little bit different?
Yeah, to Lou's point, I know some people taking the shot on Holly, and I mean, I get it. She's plus 340 and projects to be the better striker, but like to me, this is just kind of one of those like gimmick spots where it's like, don't try to ruffle the MMA gods here and start lighting your money on fire. I just kind of think that's what the case is. But honestly, I didn't know the Harrison KO prop was as big as that was. I haven't dug too deep into the prop stuff yet, but I'm probably going to take actually a shot on that tonight too, just because if Kayla's doing what she needs to do to, cover upwards of 80%, she's on top of Holly and probably landing a lot of ground and pound. So to Lou's point, homegirl can throw elbows now. Holly, a lot of scar tissue at this point. So yeah, obviously the submission could definitely be there too, but I kind of actually do lean to a positional TKO some more. So yeah, let's not upset the apple cart here. Just, Harrison by Holm.
Luke, we're recording this and people are going to hear that you agreed with me on multiple occasions, right? This is recorded.
except Bobby and Jim Miller.
So. That's all right.
Yeah.
There we go. Quickly, shout out my guy, Finesse the Books. He was on the debut episode of Bankroll or Bust last night, the world's first MMA gambling game show. So big shout out to Finesse there. Check that out on the MonkMMATics channel. Next fight, Aljamain Sterling taking on Calvin Kattar, minus 130 to go all three. Another is this right? Is he minus 440 or did I just not change the line from he can't be minus 440.
Damn, dude, lucrative steamed him.
Yeah, I just didn't change. I don't know what the line. I don't have it in front of me.
Gambus came in with a $90 million bet on.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, minus 440. Everything else is right. No, I didn't even change the salaries. Jesus, look at me. 8,400 for Sterling, 7,800 for Kattar. Luke, who do you like here? The backpack or you like New England cartel to get it done?
Yeah, another kind of tricky fight off the top, just with circumstance. You obviously have Aljo not being a spring chicken, here at 34, coming off a knockout loss, debuting in a new weight class. Then you have a guy in Kattar who's now 36, coming off a sizable layoff and a knee injury, who's also taken a lot of damage in recent years. So just kind of like the form of both guys, I think, is a little bit questionable here without even talking about the fight stylistically. But I do think it's probably an okay spot for Aljo just because he obviously has all of the grappling upside here. I understand Kattar's takedown defense is pretty good, but he also hasn't fought anyone with the caliber of wrestling and jiu-jitsu combined that Aljo does, where Aljo also kind of has like that, backpack, body triangle can potentially be around and maybe even the fight. That's kind of one thing with Kattar too, because he hasn't fought many great wrestlers or, spent much time on his back. I think actually overall only 4% of his total UFC fight time has been spent grappling. So it's just like there's very little of it. So if Sterling does get into those positions, is Kattar fine there? It's like I have no idea. He could be, but he could very well not be.
Right.
So there's that. But even on the feet, despite like Kattar being the better, more technical boxer in this, like he's had struggles also with like longer, lankier, rangy guys throughout the course of his career. And that's kind of Aljo. He's going to be long. He's going to be spamming volume. He's going to be utilizing a lot of movement. So despite Kattar being the crisper, more powerful guy for sure, no doubt about it, Aljo, I don't think is also going to really just stand in front of him. So I think a lot of people that are on the Kattar side are just like, oh, he's going to stop the takedowns and just beat the shit out of Aljo on the feet. It's like, in my opinion, that's a pretty simplistic way to look at the fight. I think there's a lot more nuance to it. But like I said, I mean, Aljo, late career weight jump, I'm just historically not a huge fan of those things. So I'm personally staying off of the fight. But if people got in on some of those early Aljo lines, I think that was the side.
Yeah, honestly, for DraftKings, I was kind of looking at Aljo like early week, but just for like the possibility of the control. I mean, he's generally scoring decently, even if his fights don't go into the 25-minute realm. I mean, he has a bunch of those where, you know, he scored once 85 against Peter Yan in a 25-minute win, so that's not great. But he put up 150 against Dillashaw in the second, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a bit of a roller coaster. Meanwhile, Kattar dropped 3 of his last 5, but I mean, he's losing to Max. He's losing to Arnold Allen. He's losing to split decision to Josh Emmett, where on paper he may or may not have won. It's super close. But then, you know, Giga Chikadze, he's putting up a huge score. But again, we're in 5-round territory there. And just like Sterling putting up a shitty score with Peter Yan, Kattar put up 79 in 5 rounds against Dan Ige. So this is not one that I'm super excited to play really for DraftKings. I'd rather just kind of, you know, watch this one. Sterling, I don't like the weight jump either necessarily, but he was always a huge bantamweight, so that does help him. Like you said, his reach as well. He's still going to be 4 inches shorter than Kattar. If he can't get inside, man, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm kind of laying off a little bit, fading it a little more than I thought I would. But yeah, I guess if I'll pick Sterling, but I'm not confident. Lou, how do you see this one playing out?
I don't know that I'm going to get there. I think maybe there's value on this under at plus 175 because I feel like there's too many question marks here. You can't talk to my assistant live, Finesse. My assistant is only on Twitter. My administrative assistant is putting in soccer bets for me right now. Betting on Jizz Camp on Twitter.
Phil Tits. Let's go.
Phil Tits tomorrow.
There we go.
2:30 Eastern, Augsburg. So we don't, again, you know, just to echo a lot of what's been said, we don't know what Kattar is going to look like coming off an injury. What I wonder with Sterling is the reason that I love his takedowns is he's so fast. And now with all this extra muscle mass, like the guys that have tried to take down Kattar, like Ige and Emmett, and I know Emmett's not like a super proactive grappler, but everything was double legs, like right up the pipe. And with Sterling, a lot of what he does is like throw a strike and then just immediately try to get on your back standing. And that's how he likes to work for takedowns. He's not like, I mean, he's got a well-rounded game, but that's what he loves doing. And if he still maintains his speed that he had, then I think he'll be able to get the back of Kattar. And we've never seen Kattar defend like chokes and submissions while having his back taken. So we don't really know what his defense is like. The real hesitation I have with the Sterling side is that this is a guy who in the past he's had cardio issues, and I know he's not cutting the weight, but that extra weight may compromise his cardio as well. Like we just don't really know. So I think the price is probably, you're not really getting great value either side. I think it probably makes sense. Sterling just has a very clear path with the grappling. But for me, I don't. This is the one fight. This and the Figgy fight. I'm really not interested in getting involved from a betting perspective.
There we go. All kind of
Sterling's split decision is his system play, by the way. 550
split. Oh, nice. Okay.
He just that's his win condition. I mean, in title fights, that's his win condition.
Mm-hmm.
Greasy split.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Here we go. Was this the last fight on the prelims? Alexander Rakic, the return after almost 2 years since he fought Jan Blachowicz, taking on Yuri Prochazka. Minus 190. Fight does not go to decision. Minus 105 for Rakic. Minus 115. Slight favorite Prochazka. Very, very even DraftKings salaries as well. Lou, start us off here. Back-to-back picks. What have you got?
All right, let's see if Luke and I disagree on this one. I hope we do. It's good for content. I'm on the Yuri side. I can't tell if he's making that face because we agree, or I don't know.
But, I would say not, if I had to guess.
I don't know. I don't know what a Rakic win really looks like here. Like a win for him is a low volume fight where Yuri never crashes the pocket. Maybe Rakic mix in a takedown here and there, but he's never shown, except for the Ledet fight, that he really wants to spam takedowns. That's not his only win equity, but that's probably the smartest win equity. But he called this dude a fake samurai, and like, I don't know how you fucking bet against him now.
That's dishonorable.
I think Yuri's going to have just all the optics. It's going to be a hot crowd. I think people are going to boo the shit out of Rakic for being boring. Yuri wants that 300K. I mean, I'm not playing this whole, they're all going to try harder because it's 300K. I just think the way Yuri fights, man, he's fine to take one, to give one. I think everything he does is just going to look great. He might lose a lot of minutes in this fight and still win a greasy decision if he just lands the bigger shots. I think the KO is live. And Rakic is another guy, man, like coming off an injury, like especially that first round. How's he going to look? Because if he's tentative, Prochazka's just going to go right at him and give him no respect. So I like Yuri here. It's funny because I feel like my whole timeline all week was on Rakic, and all I saw was the line moving toward Yuri. So maybe MMA MySpace was all on the Yuri side here, but that's my play. I'm not going to play the KO. I don't want to get greedy. It's only like plus 170 range. I don't think it's like, but yeah, I like Yuri. Oh, and he's training with Devin Clark, which means more importantly, he's training with Devin Clark's dad.
Yeah, exactly.
So all I know is for months he's been hearing, "Get up!
Get your back off the cage, Devin, damn it!"
Dude, is this Luke or Bleed? That was like perfect, man.
You gotta don't let him poke you like that, Devin. That was probably my favorite one. That was my favorite Devin.
Don't let him punch you
poke you like that, Devin.
Was that the Kuriyama fight?
I think so.
Yeah,
he got like murdered.
He was going wild in that fight. And then he wasn't in the corner after that, I don't think.
What a national treasure.
Right, yeah. This is one I wasn't really looking too much at for DraftKings, but I mean, minus 190 doesn't go to decision, actually. Kind of makes me rethink that a little bit. The only problem for me, Rakic, I mean, this dude scored 51 in a decision. He scored 99 against Anthony Smith. It was back in 2020. I don't know if that means anything, but the only really good score he put up was against Jimmy Manawa in a first minute knockout. So I don't know, man. I just don't see a super early finish from Rakic here. So I think I'll have just a bit more Prochazka, to be honest, but this is a goddamn close fight. I think I'm probably picking Yuri, but this is I don't know what Rakic is going to look like, man. I'm really interested to hear what Luke has to say, because I just don't know what he's going to look like. He's only averaging 3 points a minute, but somehow he's getting over in the 90s for scores. So I'm kind of just, he's a bit of a roller coaster when it comes to DraftKings. The 2 years off, fighting a guy that's, got one loss in his UFC career to the champ. I don't know. So I want to hear what Luke has to say. What do you think here for Rakic?
Yes, I don't have a passionate opinion on the fight, but my lean is more to the Rakic side, actually. And it's kind of weird that you said, Lou, on your timeline, all you saw was like Rakic tickets. Like I've seen no Rakic tickets. I've seen nothing but people bet Prochazka, so it's been the complete opposite for me. But yeah, it's a volatile fight. I mean, like every Yuri fight, because the guy is just like a complete meme, but like he's a meme of the high level. But it's just, death taxes, and I bet against the memes. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes I have a brain aneurysm, one of the two. He's just so terrible defensively, in really every single realm. And I just feel like, I think Rakic is honestly the better technical striker. He's shown some power in his hands too. Obviously, Yuri has more KO upside. I don't disregard that, but I think if Rakic can kind of slow the pace of the fight down on the feet, once again, it's kind of questionable if he's going to be able to do that with, crazy, Yuri who's going in there on peyote or whatever. But
yeah.
we'll see. But honestly, I do think Rakic is going to go to the wrestling here. And one of the things I kind of noticed, because a lot of people talk about like, oh, the guy had, scrambled on the floor with Glover and all that stuff. But it's like Glover also like forced and chased a lot of bad positions. And like one of the things that Yuri does on the ground, he just has the Derek Lewis syndrome where it's just like no technique, just fuck it, stand up. Like he just like explodes out of position. So just kick off the cage or something or buck guys off. But the thing, what I like about Rakic, and I noticed in tape, is that he's not like a super proactive passer or submission hunter. Like he actually operates pretty well within the guard or half guard, which tend to be more effective control positions at the bigger weight classes in comparison to Mount, which kind of defies conventional logic, but it's true. And so, yeah, I think if he can slow the pace of this fight down on the feet, mix the takedowns in, we've seen Rakic show that he can wrestle for a hard 15 minutes now. Am I, expecting him to, come out here and shoot 10 takedowns? I mean, not necessarily. Do I have concerns about him getting bonked? Yeah, but I think he can hold his own on the feet minute to minute. And I just think he has pretty much all the wrestling upside. So, but because of how memey of a fighter Yuri is, I didn't take anything on the money line, but I did take a small stab at Rakic decision at plus 275.
All right, there we go. So yeah, hoping that one just I hope that one goes over just for my sake. 'Cause I'm going to be way under on that one. I just have a feeling. Here we go. Main card, UFC 300. Hit the like button on the MMA Engine on this video. Hit the sub on the MMA Engine channel. We've got Bo Nickel taking on friend of the channel, Cody Brundage. Yeah, for DraftKings, I'll just start us off and then we'll kick it right to Lou. 9,500 could be a good price this week. I'm trying to be nice, Lou. This could be a smash spot, to be completely honest. I mean, round one, I'm honestly hoping for the KO. A round one sub just doesn't pay enough. It's just not going to score well enough. I need the knockdown, need a little ground and pound, and then get the finish from there. So I'm liking Nickel this week, but honestly, I might be switching to Harrison, to be completely honest. But that's beside the point. Lou, is Cody Brundage going to jump Gilly?
Him to win by Gilly is plus 5,000 on BetMGM, and the scenes if it happens. Imagine he bonks Bo and then just instinctively grabs a guillotine on an unconscious Bo Nickel, and that's how he won this fight. The fucking scenes, dude. So when they announced this, since I don't really have much of a breakdown, I'll say this. Bo Nickel has like no social life. Like, dude, he's no vices. He just trains. That's it. So all he's been working on is the striking defense, because that's the one thing that he really has to work on. Cody can hit hard. When this fight got announced, of course, I got tagged on Twitter. Oh, your boy's going to die. And I'm like, great. Right. He literally DMs me and he's like, you don't like this fight for me? And I'm like, dude, this is like Sophie's choice for me, like between my kids. Like, you're making me choose one. This is terrible. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't like this fight for you because I don't like this fight for anybody. And I said, and you're going to wrestle him and you're not going to like what happens. And he goes, I could get him into deep water. I'm like, bro, this dude is like a legendary cardio machine at Penn State. Like, no, do not. I said, if you don't bonk him in 30 seconds, it's done. So I said, there's a bet I have where I'll eat my shoe if it doesn't hit. The under 1.5. I don't care that it's minus 370. Cody doesn't have fucking time for this. The two fights that went over for him was his debut against Maximov, who like is the fucking worst when it comes to finishing. And Dumas in a fight where if he would have thrown more than 10 strikes, would have beaten Brundage. And it still almost got stopped for inactivity. Mm-hmm. So, no. Bo's not going to have that kind of fight. I think Yambags is sneaky here. Bo did knee Pickett in the sack when he got him against the cage. And Pickett complained, I'm going to appeal it. Like, and then he's like, if I appeal it, I probably have to fight him again. I don't want to do that. So I think Bo Bags is like possible, but like let's be honest, Bo just throws him on the ground and by prison love story round 1, and that's the end of that.
I like Bo bags, but you skipped an opportunity to go with nickel bags. Come on, bro. I expect better on this show.
So yeah, I don't have. I mean, I see Matthew saying Bo is his lock, much like Brady. I think that's a good take.
A good take. Luke, do you see this one any differently?
I just like how Lou has like the relationship with Brundage where he can just like openly tell him like you're gonna get fucked up.
I said if you jump Gilly, we're not. I told him we're not friends anymore. If you jump for a fucking guillotine, but he can't help it. It's just he has to.
It's in his nature.
In all honesty, have you like asked him why he's done that? Like, has he given like an actual answer?
It's mental, like, and Luke, you've been around this game a long time. You know, guys that are they're really good in the gym, but then when it comes to the cage, it's like the game plan's out the window, and it's just kind of like base instincts. And I just think that's one of the first moves he ever learned when he transitioned from wrestling like into this. And I just think that's kind of like his base instinct when he panics is to go for the one move he knows. And I mean, one day he'll hit it. Like, it might be 2038, but like he's gonna hit it. The problem is, it's not like he has a bad guillotine. Maybe just don't do it to Rodolfo Vieira. Like, maybe that's not the guy to try it on. Like, like what's funny is the guys he should have tried it on, like Trayshawn Gore. He's like, I'm just gonna stand and bang with him, and I'm like, oh my god, what is he doing? And it worked, but like it wasn't optimal.
Yeah, I just lost my train of thought.
He's a nice guy though, Luke. He's like a super nice dude. So like, and he ripped on Clint so bad publicly when he's like, "You fucking bet against me, you bitch," and I'm like, "Yes, like yes."
Well, the thing is,
man, I'm so sorry.
The thing is, I actually don't hate Brundage as much as like everybody else does. Like, I think there's aspects of his game that I think he actually does relatively well. To your point, his boxing is okay. He's got power. He's not a bad offensive wrestler. When he's gotten on top, he's doing things. But to your point, it's like mental or whatever the case may be. Like he is just a bad nail. Like the moment like things start to collapse, he's like, "See you later." I'll still never forget. Like it was Brundage's Contender Series fight against Thick Willie Knight, and Brundage takes him down early, gets on top of him, mounts William Knight in the fight, loses the position, shoots back in for a takedown, and just starts eating Travis Brown elbows. And you have Mark Montoya in the corner saying, Cody, pick your head up. Cody's like, "No, I'm gonna get the takedown." He's like, "Come on, Cody, pick your head." He's like, "No, I'm gonna get the takedown." And then he just gets like knocked out. It was the funniest fucking thing. Outside of that and Devin Clark's dad. But yeah, long-winded way. I think if Cody doesn't bonk him in a minute, he's most likely fucked. But from just a macro perspective, it does need to be said, there's just so much about Bo Nickal's game that we don't know. Like, he hasn't been past 5 minutes. We don't know what his durability is like, a lot of those type of things. So I'm not really advocating to lay, $2,300 to win $100. So,
Bo says that's value, man.
Yeah. Well, I think you're kind of just picking your poison on whether he cares or subs him. I hate betting on these type of fights, like Amanda Nunes gimmick shit. Like, I don't like doing that.
Look, who would win in a fight, Bo Nickel or Bo Dallas?
I believe.
Yes. Just remember, guys, it's not impossible. It's I'm possible.
That's inspirational right there. Love it. Here we go. I mean, Jesus. Fourth fight to the end, fourth to last fight is Arman Tsarukyan on all the vitamins taking on Charles Oliveira. Has he always had that neck tattoo? Am I just now seeing that? I have no idea. Minus 285 to finish inside the distance. Arman's still a 2-1 favorite at minus 210 $8,700, $7,500. So some decent middling salaries here. Let's see here. I'll start us off. Why not? I don't know where we're at. Man, I'm picking Oliveira here. For DraftKings at 7,500, we're getting him as cheaper than basically he's ever been. He was 7,600 against Benny, got that win. He was 7,600 against Poirier, got that win as well. He's making the optimal lineup when he is this low priced. And man, his output, I don't have to tell you about it. It's crazy. He's the finishing king for the most part. And now he's about to possibly get 300K, 6 bonuses at once instead of just one. So, man, not saying it's just going to be so easy like that. We've got Arman Tsarukyan on the other side, who I also probably don't mind for DraftKings, man. If Charles Oliveira gets in trouble early, I mean, Tsarukyan is just beastly for the most part. I mean, we've seen him checked a couple of times, not most recently probably against on 3-day notice. Joaquin Silva had about 20 seconds of success, but otherwise it's basically been utter domination. I mean, Benny in a minute after like a huge win streak. Damir Ismagulov, I don't know about that one. Only lost to Mateusz Gamrot and then destroyed Joel Alvarez. Like, this is going to be a great fight. I love Oliveira because of the salary, but don't overlook Tsarukyan. I honestly think his ownership could be relatively low. You've got Gaethje, $100 more. You've got Turner in this range. I honestly think he might get a little overlooked. And if you're on the Tsarukyan side, that might be a sneaky little spot. Lou, who do you like here?
Well, I'm not overlooking Tsarukyan because I think he's going to win by knockout. This line, it's so funny. So early in the week, I put a small bet on Oliveira, but really I put the bet in because I assumed incorrectly, I may add, that a lot of public money, and it still may, as we get, I think a lot of public money, more than usual, is going to come in on Saturday for an event like this. But I really thought there'd be a lot of buy-in to Oliveira at the price, and there really hasn't been all week. So now I'm just stuck with a ticket that I don't love. Look, man, I get it. It's Oliveira, and the dude's super talented, and he's super likable, and I get it. But I think this fight could look very much like the Joel Alvarez fight, where Tsarukyan just bowls him over. And unlike Dariush, who, like, you go back and watch that fight, and it was so bizarre because Dariush was like just in total control, and it's like he got bored of being on top. He's like, okay, just gonna move, and then like a minute later, he's dead.
Yeah,
I know there's some people pointing to Tsarukyan getting bonked by Joaquin Silva. Well, he recovered immediately, and he's pretty tough, dude. Like, I don't think Oliveira is knocking him out. I heard people, the KO is wide. Yeah, it's wide for a reason. I don't think he's knocking him out. Could Oliveira catch him, throw up a choke, and get Tsarukyan on the ground? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know how Oliveira really wins a decision here unless he's got like 5 minutes of control and Tsarukyan just shows otherworldly toughness. I just feel like Tsarukyan is going to absolutely bull rush him, maul him on the ground, get him out of there, and make his case for a title shot. I'm not saying I'm like thrilled because I love watching Oliveira, but this line just felt like a trap all week to me. And I bit into it because I was going to try to, I don't know, I'm an idiot, but I don't like the bet. So the pick is Tsarukyan in the distance. I see people playing round 2, round 3 KO. I mean, I think it come in round 1. I don't think it's limited. I mean, Oliveira's been hurt in the first round of like 700 fights. So why he can't get knocked out in round 1, like, I just don't know. Well, you can spend your money how you want.
Something my dad would have said.
I hate it. I don't want to root. I don't really want to root for the result I picked.
Right.
But like, when has Oliveira had this like a super clean first round ever? Tony Ferguson? Was that like the last time he had like a just clean first round? Like, no.
Luke, how do you see this one? Do you see things for the dog, or are you kind of leaning with Lou?
Yeah, I kind of think the price is honestly fine. I think it might have been Gugabe who actually said this, but it's kind of like Charles is one of those guys where like he can't really be any worse than like plus 200 against like anybody, in my opinion, just because he's so dangerous realistically in both realms. But Tsarukyan, I think, does have a decent style to beat Oliveira at a moderate clip, in my opinion. To Lou's point, I mean, even in a lot of these fights that Oliveira has won recently, I mean, he's gotten hurt in like every fight the last 3 years. Like, and I do think it's interesting also, like age-wise, obviously the record doesn't really indicate it, but he is kind of getting to that tipping point, 35, 36 or whatever, where, the carpet can kind of just fall out from under guys, especially at the lighter weight classes around those.
Does it match the drapes though?
I was waiting for that.
I kind of like the under 1.5 here at plus money. I feel like there's going to be chaos early within the fight. Like I think either guy could hurt the other one. And I think if Tsarukyan gets on top, I know some people are saying that he's just going to like kind of control Charles and hold on to him, which is possible. I kind of do what you said, Lou. I kind of think he's just going to try. I think he's going to try to take him out and smash him with ground and pound. So I don't know. It could be just like a complete utter trap, but I don't know. Under 1.5 and a fight that I think projects at least somebody's getting hurt early here in some capacity seems like a decent look.
Yeah, bottom line, I mean, you look at the minus 285 to not go to decision. It's not the highest number or not the widest number on the card, but still pretty decent to consider for DraftKings. And like I said, honestly, I think Tsarukyan's going to be a little under-owned, to be quite honest. Next fight. Here we go, guys.
8,800 for grappling and finish equity and early finish equity.
87.
Yeah.
Even better.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at this screen.
Yeah. We've got the first of 3 question mark face title fights. BMF title on the line here. Justin Gaethje, Max freaking Holloway. Luke, who do you like in what I assume could be not only the fight of the night, but I mean, it could go either way.
Yeah, so I'm one of the schmucks that's on the Holloway side. This fight makes me terrified because it seems like everybody's kind of on Holloway, and I usually just don't like being on the public dog, and I'm not usually a huge fan of that. But like, it's not even that I have a particularly passionate opinion on it. I kind of feel like the fight should be more like a coin flip to me. Obviously, Gaethje, the more natural, heavier hitter. There's the leg kicks. I understand that. But I think Max actually is the more durable guy of the two. I think he has the better cardio of the two with attrition. If there is any sort of funky grappling situations, I feel pretty confident that Max is a better submission grappler. Again, I'm not, putting too much stock into that, but a fight's a fight. Yeah, so I think Max is going to give him an honest scrap. And we know Max can go out there and, land freaking like 500 strikes in a fight. And of the two, Max obviously isn't great defensively, but of the two, he is the better defensive striker here. So he's not going to be undersized in terms of like length or reach or anything or whatnot. Like I said, I mean, Gaethje's obviously going to be the more dense guy who does have more pure raw power. But I would also say that Gaethje, I think, is probably less durable than Max at the same time too. So I think there's kind of an interesting push-pull dynamic. So yeah, it's more of just kind of like a pure play into the number for me. Cause to me, this is more like a coin flip type of fight. So you're going to give me a guy with the historic cardio, durability, and pace and Max Holloway at dog odds. I don't really know how wrong you can be personally.
Love that. Lou, what do you got here? Favorite or dog?
I don't have a bet on this yet. I lean ever so slightly to the Gaethje side, but not enough where I'm interested. Here's the screwed up part about this fight for me. I honestly think that there's no way to live bet it because I feel like after the first round, the winner will already be minus 300. It's either Gaethje's going to be landing leg kicks,
yep,
and you're going to know it, or Holloway is going to be just way too fast for Gaethje to catch. I think whatever happens in the first, that's the fight. I think if Holloway is too fast for him, it's probably 50-45 of him just peppering, Gaethje getting frustrated. I see some people on the max sub. Just stop it. All right. I agree that if there's grappling equity, it's Holloway. But for the most part, like, he's doing it just to rest. Like, he's not like actively hunting for chokes. Even against Yair, he was just like, all right, I just don't want to get kicked for like the next 2 minutes. But I honestly think like you'll just know, and there's no way to like really, like, if Gaethje lands 3 or 4 really good leg kicks, like thudding leg kicks in the first, he's probably going to get a KO late. I think he can just limit Holloway's movement. And I get that Holloway is durable. Like, I get it. And I love Holloway. But man, dude, Gaethje just will be relentless on those legs. And I don't know. So I'm going to pick Gaethje ever so slightly, not betting him. I'm not really interested even in a total here. Like, I don't know. I would, if I got maxed really early in the week, I probably would have liked it a little more. But
yeah,
at this price, I'm not sure.
Yeah, this one's easy for DraftKings. Just play it. 100% like whoever gets a finish is probably gonna, I mean, if it's Gaethje, it's leg kicks and then possibly an earlier KO. If it's Holloway, he's 7,400. Both those scenarios are optimal. If it goes to decision, we're at 25 minutes with two guys that the lowest number of strikes they've landed in their last 5 fights per minute would be Gaethje, landed 4.5 against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Otherwise, we're at 6, 7, 8 strikes a minute, and that's just Gaethje. Holloway is, 18 against Kattar, 9 against Rodriguez, 7 against Korean Zombie. So yeah, tons of scoring opportunity. Both guys, huge upsides is an understatement. Max Holloway, I think, still holds the record for the most number of points scored ever with like 209, something like that. So yeah, play this fight. Super easy for me.
I actually don't think it would be a terrible strategy to stack that in cash either.
That's the other thing. That's an interesting thing. I've been thinking about that too. I saw somebody do it, and I've actually stacked at one of these strawweight or flyweight fights in the past couple of weeks, and it paid off decently. But this one, good God, if it goes 5, we might see double-digit or triple-digit scores out of both guys here. They might both be optimal. So, especially if Gaethje wins. Gaethje wins 5-round decision, we could see both guys optimal. So that is a great point. Let's go. Co-main event. The Queen, Zhang Weili taking on Yan Xiaonan. 9,200 for Weili, 7K for Yan. Minus 155 for the strawweight fight to finish early inside of 5 rounds. And Zhang is up to minus 510. Usually I would howl with laughter at a strawweight fight minus 510, but this could easily look that, if not worse. Lou, what do you think? You think Yan Xiaonan has a striker's chance here against what could probably be a wrestle heavy Zhang Weili?
I have the Chinese woman to win.
Hot take.
This is the other fight where if you like the Zhang Weili under or in the distance, just take the under. It's like 10-cent difference, 15 cents most difference. So I think you're probably better off just taking the under at that rate. You may as well get, the variance baked into your bet. It's weird because I see a lot of people on the onside this week, and I strangely feel like the reason they're on the onside is you have a fight like this where Zhang Weili, if she gets takedowns, she covers her number. And didn't we just go through this with Erin Blanchfield and Furo, where that line got steamed? They're like, oh, well, she's going to get takedowns and she's going to easily cover that number. And then she didn't. I'm not saying this is the same fight stylistically. I'm saying mentally the way people approach some of these women's main events or title fights is, oh, well, she's clearly going to have grappling equity. And now they'll look at the Blanchfield fight like, well, but what if she doesn't? But even on the feet, man, does she look 5'10"? Probably not, but I still think she's like a minus 200 favorite here. I like the way she sets up her takedowns. A lot of times there I noticed that she goes for a strike, and instead of going all the way back in the striking distance, it's like a half step back and then into the takedown. She just catches people off guard with it. I like the way it looks. Her top control is really good here. I don't parlay minus 500s like this. I don't make these kind of bets. I might get to the under, but honestly, I think Zhang Weili probably just wins a 5-round decision pretty cleanly, like a 50-45 here.
That would be great, because I love her in DraftKings. I mean, how couldn't you if you've watched any of her previous fights? The Esparza fight was one of her lowest wins recently at 93 points, but she subbed her in the second. In her decision, in her 5-round decisions, it is 190 points against Lemos there. John Woo flick. Shout out Griselda. Yeah, I can see it. The striker, I mean, we've been doing this for 2 or 3 weeks in a row here, striker versus grappler, women's MMA, and we're like, just what you said, Lou. She's going to wrestle, and then that doesn't work out, and then where are we at? So, honestly, I think this is a pretty good fight to play as well as a whole, just because Yan Xiaonan is so cheap. I think she's the 3rd cheapest fighter on the entire card. If she wins, she's basically optimal, and she's averaging, not many points per minute, but 90 points per win over her last 3 wins there against Andrade, Dern, and Claudia Gadelha back in 2020. So I don't think she's going to win. And if Lou's right, which I hope he is, Zhang Weili 5-round decision is going to score phenomenally. So yeah, let's hope. I want to see her break that 190 this week. You know what I mean? Luke, how do you see this one? Any more confidence there for Yan Xiaonan?
Yeah, I guess my opinion's probably similar to what most people, obviously the girl's got all the grappling upside. It's pretty hard to watch the Esparza fight for Yan, and where she just gets absolutely demolished. And yeah. Carla's a good wrestler, but she's not very physical historically and doesn't have a bunch of ground and pound. And Yan kind of just didn't really seem like she knew what to do when she was on the ground. Yes, I think with the correct path for Weili, yeah, she's probably going to look good. With that being said, on the feet, I think that Yan is probably competitive here, which is why I wouldn't really be running to the window to lay minus 500. But I mean, the shit keeps going and people keep betting it, so is what it is. But to Lou's point, that's not my kind of deal. Her minus 510 women's fights. Not my
what
bag.
Could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong?
So I would rather just play that under look if you're more looking to the Weili. Like I said, it's probably coming with ground-based domination where she's smashing from top position. So it's like she's covering, she's probably finishing more than likely than not. So that's how I'd go about it.
Also, as Brady would say, a haircut you could set your watch to.
That is true. That is true.
Why don't I want to take the dog shot here?
Jealous.
Because I think her getting just trapped on the ground and not getting up happens at a pretty high clip here. So
yeah, round after round. All right, guys, we did it. I will. I'll start us off here between Alex Pereira and Jamahal Hill. Jamahal obviously hasn't fought in over a year due to the, and I'm not going to say ACL this time, Achilles injury. And some people would say, all of us Twitter doctors, maybe a bit too soon, but that's really up to Jamahal Hill and the real doctor. Minus 450 does not go all 5. Minus 130 on the current champ, Alex Pereira. And you can't see it, but he is wearing the colorful shorts under the Midnight Happy Hour banner there. 8,300 for the champ, 7,900 for Hill. Man, 5-round fight. I think minus 450. We've got to play this. I don't care if Pereira is scoring less than what I need him to lately. 92, 66, 97, not the best. Jamahal Hill getting 137 in 5-round fight against Teixeira. Very impressive. 126 against Crute, 102 against Walker. I mean, his worst score in his last 5 is against Thiago Santos in the 4th round. But even then, he almost 10x'd, so not quite what you're looking for. But he's got some damn good scores. And like I said, you're giving me 5 rounds here. Both guys can get the finish. Both guys, one guy, huge counter striker. Other guy loves to come in with power. This is definitely one I am going to want to play. Not necessarily what I would call an all-in fight, as I described the Gaethje and Holloway fight, but it's definitely one I will be targeting. I think I'm going to pick Alex Pereira, but I'd love to hear either of you tell me why I'm either right or wrong on that. So, Lou, why don't you start us off here? Who do you like in this main event?
I like the Hillside, but my preferred bet, even though it's a little juicy, it's -162. I like the over 1.5 here. It seems like it's going to be horrifying, but it's a main event of the biggest show. It's Jamahal Hill coming off a pretty bad injury. He's probably just going to want to get his bearings, get his reads. And Pereira is not like reckless in first rounds, just winging tons of volume. So I really do think the first 5 minutes of this fight, get your reads, don't make a mistake. The fight will really start in earnest round 2. And then you're sweating 2.5 minutes at -162. I think it's pretty good value there. I do favor the Hillside. I think he's cleaner. I think he throws more volume as these fights go on. I feel like somebody on the internet's like trying to get us to bet Pereira by showing this video of Hill's footwork. This is like
the foot crossing,
like the no context talking point of the week. I just feel like, and Hill may even have grappling equity here. I don't know that he will. I know Pepe was talking about it. He likes the idea of Hill at least mixing it up. And for me personally, I think it would be a good move, even if he doesn't want to grapple a lot. Just throw one in the first round. Pereira doesn't keep his hands all the way up. If you throw in a takedown, maybe you get Pereira's hands just down in case he has to worry about that the rest of the fight. But my preference is Hill at this price. I like his volume. I like his cardio. I like that he hates his family. I think that's a pretty good base for MMA. Just hating your family is really works.
Comedy and fighting. It's great for that.
I mean, OJ hated his family, and maybe
allegedly.
one day, and now he'll never find the real killers. So, it's a sad day for that. But I don't know what that had to do with the main event. The pick is Jamahal Hill for me, and we'll pass it to Luke.
Yes, Luke, please take us home with your main event breakdown here.
Yeah, I'm more in the Jamahal Hill camp here as well. Obviously Pereira, like the more longer technical guy. I mean, everybody kind of knows that, but Jamahal doesn't really get enough credit for what he's able to do. And I think actually Jamahal's blitzing based style that he has, I think can give Pereira issues. And we've seen it. Multiple other guys have success on Pereira in those blitzing based capacities. Like even a guy like Bruno Silva, who's just not very good, was hitting him very clean and with impunity early in those fights. Jamahal Hill's a much better technical striker than him. Obviously, Pereira is an excellent leg kicker, but Jamahal is a southpaw. So I think that's going to also limit some of the, traditional mirrored stance. That's not to say he can't go across the calf or that Jamahal won't switch stances too, but I don't know. Everyone just leg kicks. It's well, Jamahal does fight primarily southpaw, so I don't think it's nearly as easy there. But I also think Jamahal has better body work, and I kind of just trust Jamal's output and pace over the course of a 25-minute fight than Pereira. And to your point as well, Lou, with the grappling, he hasn't landed a takedown in the UFC, so it's really hard to project him to do that. But Jamahal Hill is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. He can grapple. He's shown that in multiple fights now. So to your point, I think it would be smart for him to mix that in. It's, takedown or two here and there. Not saying he's got to, dive on legs for the, 15, 25 minutes or anything like that. Probably wouldn't actually be great for his cardio if he did that anyway. But it's a way to definitely win rounds, and it's where all the upside is. I mean, Pereira isn't wrestling him. It's my thing is if Izzy can take a round wrestling Pereira, it's why can't Jamahal Hill? So in a fight that has some variable components on the feet with knockout variants, one of the guys has all the grappling upside, is the underdog. He's the younger fighter. I think Jamahal is the side here. I don't currently have a bet on it just because I actually have a Jamahal Hill future ticket. So I'm not necessarily sure I'm trying to double dip on that, but
Right.
I do think he's the side as the dog. The last thing I'll say is I think this whole like Achilles thing is like narrative is starting to get kind of like ridiculous out there. It's like the guy was cleared by a reputable doctor or whatever. Like, you know, do you think the guy's going to come back and fight, you know, a world title fight on one leg or a comp,
ruin his career in the process?
Yeah, and against an elite striker, it's like maybe the guys he did, you know, essentially break his own arm against Paul Craig, so maybe the guy isn't necessarily solving the cure for cancer anytime soon. But yeah, I think Jamahal has a bit more upside. If he gets chinned here, though, I wouldn't really be shocked.
Yeah, that is interesting about the grappling you guys mentioned. Just in his last fight, I know it was Teixeira and the age and whatnot, but 5-round fight, got 2 takedowns landed against him. Both him and Teixeira had the exact same amount of control time in that fight. So I do find that very interesting to both of your guys' points there. That's going to do it, man. We did it, guys. All 13 fights, just like 15 minutes longer than usual. We are streamlined right now. And this basically, hopefully, ends everybody's content schedule for the week. I know I have tomorrow off. I'm sure Lou probably still has fucking 6 shows to do. Well, yeah, he's shaking his head now. One of you guys in the chat's going to ask him to do a show, and he's going to say
that.
Yes.
Fuck that. Done. That's it.
So, Luke, we want to thank you one more time for coming on the show. We absolutely love having you here, love having guests, and especially someone that we've worked with and love doing shows with. So one more time, please tell the people where they can find you and your content.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I always love chopping it up with both of you guys. Twitter, SWR_betting, sparringwithreality.com. That's where I put up all my bets and content. And then I do some work over at Establish the Run in their DFS platform for Brett Apley and the guys over there. So
nice.
Looking forward to the fights, man. Should be a fun weekend.
Definitely. And we are like 2 sleeps. Go ahead, Lou.
I mean, I know I've been doing a lot of content today. I know I'm tired, but I can't let you go after the show without this. Fuck the Ted DiBiase.
Classic.
And
I welcome any excuse for Lou to do Iron Sheik.
Bobby Green. He's raising balls like the Virgil.
Fuck the Bobby Green.
Fuck Bobby Green. No, I don't want Bobby Green to watch
no,
this.
Yeah, this is where the disclaimer comes up. Please, please, God.
This is parody, sir. This is parody. Also this. It's parody.
There we go. Well, Lou, you got anything else for the people?
No,
you said you're done this week.
I'm done
as well.
I'm done for 2 weeks.
That's right, 2 weeks, guys. Be sure on the MonkMMATics channel, check out the new show, Bankroll or Bust. We had Finesse, we had Gordo, and Addicted to Combat having a little fun. It's about a 30-minute show, and tune in on Sunday to find out what the results are. So, guys, as usual, we want all of you to enjoy the fight. So, enjoy, and we will see you in the next one.